There's a lot to get to today. Yeah, great job by Nick Wise there, stirring the hornet's nest. And somehow my name gets dragged into his show. I guess he's looking for content. I don't know what's going on here. Talking about. But we'll talk a lot of Rays baseball. 21,000 plus was at the game last night after a sellout crowd on Monday in the reopening of the Trop. Last night did not go well, but we'll get into the Rays throughout the course of this afternoon. We'll take you up until 5:30, and then it's Ronnie Lane with Ground Rule Double coming your way to get you set for the rubber match tonight between the Rays and the Cubs with Joe Boyle on the mound tonight for the Rays as they look to take the final game of this 3-game set before an off day tomorrow. And then you know who's coming into town this weekend.
The New York Yankees?
The New York Yankees!
And that is going to be a scene in itself. But a lot of Rays talk throughout the course of this day.
Choke him now!
Choke him, choke him, choke him. How about that fight last night, huh? That was something else.
I should have broke your thumb!
A Major League Baseball fight that's happening there. Trouble with the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll get into that. The Buccaneers pre-draft visits are happening today. Very busy day over at the Advent Health Training Center. We'll tell you what's going on there. And ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, a tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS. Hello, friends. Jim Nance here. I'm Jim Nance. You're not. We'll talk to Bob Harrig, who's covering the Masters, good friend of the program. He will join us at 3:30. No Tiger, no Phil for the first time in a long time. So what can we expect this weekend up in Augusta? Bob Harrig will join us as we'll take a look around and preview the 2026 version of The Masters on CBS. Hello, friends. Nim Jantz here. Without Tiger Woods and his addiction to prescription drugs, what will the Masters look like in 2026?
No. You insulted him a little bit.
We'll get into it. Bob Harrig will join us a little bit later on here on the program. And then in the 4 o'clock hour, a little Would You Rather action. Would you rather have Chandler Simpson bat leadoff or Junior Caminero hit cleanup moving forward? Would You Rather is coming up a little bit later on here on the program.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it is, Chandler Simpson. And of course, we're on the air until 5:30, and then it's Texas Leaguer with Ronnie Lane to get you set for the final game of this 3-game stretch between the Rays and the Cubs. Long night yesterday, and you kind of felt like that was going to be the case for the 5 and 6 Rays. What happened last night? Who showed themselves? I can't even say it with a straight face. Who showed themselves in a really bad way, and what can we expect tonight? That is the theme of our opening drive.
Tampa Bay Sports Radio presents The Opening Drive.
An impressive opening drive.
What an opening drive.
With TKras.
I can't get over the view of the guy down the right field line. I know a lot of people have been talking about it today. Boy, he showed himself in a profound way. You know what indecent exposure looks like? You saw it with that guy. Oh, my God. It was despicable.
This is one of the most despicable displays of conduct in the history of the World Wrestling Federation.
I'm trying to figure out whether, Ken Patera and Big John Studd cutting Andre's hair was bad enough, or the vision of that guy scurrying for a foul ball. This is a grown man. He was a man, plus-size man, scurrying for a foul ball to the point where, he drops his drawers. It was ugly. And that really summed up the night in a very good way. It was an ugly night for the Rays last night. And look, you knew the Cubs and their potent offense, they weren't going to get held down for long, right? They banged out 16 hits, and once we found out that Drew Rasmussen had to go be with his wife, and look, there are priorities in life, okay? There's baseball, there's your job, and then there's going to be with your wife when she goes into labor with your second child. Priorities, okay? So Drew Rasmussen and his wife, obviously, that takes precedence. And you knew once we found out that he was not going to be there, it was going to be a bullpen day. I think the over was definitely a good bet, as we were talking about this yesterday, over 8.5 runs. But unfortunately, most of the runs came via the Chicago Cubs on 16 hits. Alex Bregman was on an 0 for 13 slump. Well, Mason Engler can cure that in a real hurry. Bregman had 3 hits. Javier Saad, the Rays couldn't figure out a way to hit that guy. They had no answers for him. And look, you had a couple of guys that really had to take one for the team yesterday. And the Rays were not going to use any of their A-list high-leverage guys because I think you may need them tonight. Look, Joe Boyle has been promising so far this season, but we know he's got, from time to time, some command issues. So if that props up tonight, then the Rays will turn to their A-list guys like Brian Baker, who was on the show yesterday. Maybe you'll see Griffin Jacks hopefully show himself tonight. By the way, in case you guys haven't noticed, and I hate to bring this up, and I know Eric Neander doesn't want me to bring this up, but I got to bring it up because I saw it last night, and it made me feel like, What am I talking about? I'm talking about Taj Bradley. Did you see what Taj Bradley did last night? Did you see what Taj Bradley has done so far this season in 2 games for the Minnesota Twins? He has been downright dominant. And last night, Taj Bradley outdueled Tarek Skubal, the best starting pitcher in baseball. Bradley's now 2-0. He gave up 1 run, 6 hits, no walks, 10 strikeouts over 6 1/3. Oops. And here we are with Griffin Jacks, who's still trying to find himself, who's been struggling. And that is a trade that does not look good so far for Eric Neander and the Tampa Bay Rays. Taj Bradley 2-0 with an ERA of 1.08. He's been phenomenal. Griffin Jacks, not great. Not great. But hopefully the Rays can bounce back and take this one here tonight. And then you got an off day. And then the Yankees come into town this weekend. By the way, before we go any further, and I think it's appropriate to kind of mention this, Friday, we're going to take the show on the road. In fact, young Chris Mathis is coming along. You're coming with.
Yes, I'm going to be there, Tom. I'm excited.
So Friday, we're doing our show from the Noble Tavern right there on Central Avenue, just a hop, skip, and a jump right away from Tropicana Field. So come on down from 2 until 6. We're doing the show from Noble Tavern, downtown St. Pete, right there on Central Avenue. Really classy joint, great-looking bar, great food. And it's right there on Central Avenue, just a short walk away from Tropicana Field. So we're going to be there from 2 until 6. The Noble Tavern is located right beneath the True Hilton Hotel, just a 5-minute walk to the Trop. So if you come on down, we're giving away a $100 gift card. And Ronnie Lane's going to join me for the happy hour on Friday on location. And when we came up with this idea of the happy hour, this is what we had in mind, being out and about at a great place like the Noble Tavern. And get this, folks, if that is enough incentive to come out and see us, the first 25 people that come on out and they say hi to yours truly and to Ronnie Lane when he decides to show up, you get a free drink.
Drinks around the house.
Drinks are on the house, the first 25. You can't beat that. They make incredible craft cocktails there. They have awesome food. They have flatbreads. They've got it all. Great place, convenient location. So come on out Friday from 2 until 6. The drive will be live right there from Noble Tavern, located right beneath the True Hilton Hotel on Central Ave for an awesome Friday show as we get you set for weekend baseball here in Tampa Bay with the Yankees being in town. That's going to be an awesome, awesome scene there on Friday. As for the Rays, even though they lost, I want to continue to extol the virtues of one Chandler Simpson. In the loss yesterday, the Rays had 6 hits, unfortunately. And that first hit didn't come until midway through the game. Chandler Simpson had 2 of those. Jonathan Aranda also had 2 hits and drove in a run. But Chandler Simpson, guys, in 11 games so far, he's had a hit in 10 of them. And he has reached base in all 11 games so far this season. So he's been incredible so far for your Tampa Bay Rays. And he's a guy who continues to get better and better. And he provides some of that energy and some of that enthusiasm. He gives his team a boost from an energy perspective. Obviously, he's an electrifying player. And when you look up right now, and I get it, you're only 11 games into the season, but Chandler Simpson right now is second in all of baseball in batting with a .405 batting average. He's a game changer and a difference maker for this team. And no matter where you bat him in the lineup, and unfortunately, I'd like to see him batting closer to the top. Last night, he batted 5th. I'm not sure what the reasoning is for batting him 5th because he provides you no power. If you're batting 3, 4, 5, I mean, that is the sweet spot in terms of where your bona fide power hitters are supposed to bat. Chandler Simpson is not going to knock one over the fence anytime soon. And guess what? That's okay. Because that's not what he does. And he knows that too. He understands what he is. We've talked to him a few times, and we'll get him back on the show. He knows he's not a power hitter. I know he hit one out during the spring. But if you're going to maximize Chandler Simpson's ability and his impact on this team, do me a favor. Hit him first. And I know Yandy Diaz has been a really good leadoff guy per se. And his on-base percentage is .471, and he's hitting .386, which is awesome. But guess what? Do you really want to maximize the potential of this lineup? Hitting Yandy second behind Chandler Simpson first, that's a way to jumpstart this lineup. And look, offensively, the Rays are near the top of the American League in a lot of statistical categories: home runs, runs scored, on-base percentage, stolen bases. They've done a really good job, and I think so far, small sample size, they've exceeded expectations when it comes to their offense. The starting pitching's been pretty good. You got to throw last night out, obviously. That was a bullpen day because your opening day starter couldn't make it because of family circumstances. Totally understandable, by the way. But the offense has been a pleasant surprise. Guess what? It can be even better. Hitting Chandler Simpson 5th doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And look, he went out there. He had 2 hits last night. He's hitting over 400, which is fantastic. And maybe the Rays are prepping him by hitting him 3rd, hitting him 5th. We've seen him hit 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Here's a novel idea. With his ability to get on base, and not only is he hitting over 400, his on-base percentage is .444. He's an electric player. How about you hit him first? Because that's the kind of guy that I want up there 4, 5, or 6 times on a given night. And maybe the Rays are priming him to the point and getting him ready to bump him up the lineup. They just want to see him work better at bats. Guess what? He's working great at bats. He's hitting over 400. His on-base percentage approaching .450. I think he's done a great job for a young player in maturing and putting some great at-bats out there. His bat-to-ball skills has improved. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. He's among the leaders in Major League Baseball in terms of a strikeout rate. The guy's been phenomenal. He really has been. And he's a fixture. We came into the season talking about the big 3 in this lineup, the 3 guys that had to produce: Yandy Diaz, Jonathan Aranda, and, of course, Junior Caminero. I think it's time to add the 4th guy to the mix. And the 4th guy is Chandler Simpson. He's been that good. He's that important. He's been electrifying. He's been galvanizing. He's turning into like this emotional leader on the field. You saw his reaction on the Cedric Mullins home run from the other night. You saw his reaction after he made the great catch against the wall the other night. This is a guy who's coming into his own as a bona fide major leaguer, a guy that opposing teams have to account for. Like when you're facing the Rays, and if you bat this guy leadoff, you need to change your defense around. And you got to prevent this guy from getting on base because he's trouble. Once he gets on base, he can steal second, he can steal third. We saw that on opening day, and he ended up scoring. I mean, the guy's a problem for other teams. And the Rays can't make this a problem by hitting him fifth. And I know a lot of people, well, you keep talking about Chandler Simpson and where he hits in the lineup. Because I care. That's why. 888-388-0957. Text at 82945. I care about where he bats because I think he can be really effective and a game changer if he hits higher in the lineup as opposed to hitting fifth, where, you know, one of your boppers should be hitting. One of your boppers should be hitting fifth. And I get it. The Rays don't have a whole lot of guys who can knock the ball out of the ballpark. But, you know, you look at the stats so far this season, I mean, they've been doing a decent job in that category. Offensively, they've been pretty good. But guess what? You want to be able to maximize what you can do offensively to complement your starting pitching. The defense, you saw Taylor Walls, you know, that fancy behind-the-back play that he made last night was interesting. And I know he said after the game, like, I probably regret doing that. He's flashy. He makes every single routine play, and he makes the tough plays, which is a good thing to have. So defensively, with Walls back, they're better. The bullpen's got to get better. Hopefully when Clevenger gets back. By the way, Edwin Uceta is on a rehab assignment. He'll get back. And here's another update. I talked to a friend of the show, Ryan Pepio, this morning. He had a bullpen session yesterday, and it went really well, he said.
Thanks, man.
No, thank you. And they're trying to figure out what the next step's going to be. It sounds like, you got to build the guy back up, unfortunately, because he had the hip inflammation. So he may have to go on a rehab assignment. But it feels like we're a week or two away from Pepio coming back, and the Rays want to be obviously very cautious. This is one of their better starting pitchers and a workhorse. But he'll be back, hopefully, before the month of April is out. So Uceta and Pepio are on the comeback trail. And Gavin Lux should be back, and I think, he's a solid defender at second base. He'll be able to give you something there. He's not going to bring you a whole lot of power. But when you look at the Rays offensively, and look, I get it, we got a long way to go, but they're in the top 5 in batting average. In fact, number 5, team batting average of .260. It's pretty good. They're tied for 6th in runs scored, by the way, ahead of the New York Yankees, who come into town this weekend. Yankees, obviously, much more accomplished offensively with some great players, including a former MVP and a lot of high-priced talent. And when it comes to the home runs, the Rays have got 11. And the top team, the Dodgers, who would have thought that, they've got 21. So I kind of like where this team is at right now, considering everything that's happened, the 9-game road trip, the cold weather, the terrible bullpen, the defense. Yeah, they lost yesterday. That was an unusual set of circumstances where your pitcher has to get pulled for a good reason. But if you take the rubber match tonight, then it sets up a really interesting showdown this weekend when the Yankees come into town. And that's what you want to see. You want to see 6-6 going into an off day. You rest up, and then you get ready for what will be an incredible weekend at the Trop with some big crowds. Look, sold-out crowd Monday. It was awesome. Last night, 21,000 plus. Pretty good crowd. A lot of them are Cubs fans, obviously. Tonight, and I'll be there tonight, I expect it to be in that 19,000 range, maybe 20. And then this weekend, you're going to see huge crowds with the Yankees being here. So we're off to a good start, I think, considering the circumstances. And look, I think there is a certain upside to this team once it gets some of these injured guys back, and it should leave you feeling optimistic if you're a Rays fan.
Even though you everything we do.
Not everything, Kevin Cash, but you got to admit, this thing with the lineup, and I know you've mentioned it too, in your post-game scrums with the media. I know a lot of people are talking about Chandler Simpson batting high in the lineup. I wonder where he's getting that from. Yeah, the troublemaker. That's right. All right, great to have you with us on this Would You Rather Wednesday. Great show coming up. We got Bob Harrig a little bit later on The Masters this weekend without Tiger and Phil. Would You Rather in the 4 o'clock hour. We're on the air to 5:30. And then Ronnie Lane with Baltimore Chop comes your way to get you set for the Rays and the Cubs rubber match tonight over at the Trop. Gio, hold on. I'll get to you when we come back. Also on the way back, this has been a hot talking point since I talked to the Hitman on opening day. The Rays want their forever stadium. Are we getting closer to that? And how far is the new ownership willing to go to get this done? We'll analyze that, too, with your calls and texts coming up.
Oh, I don't know.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
Guys, the NBA regular season is winding down, and the Orlando Magic are right in the thick of it as they fight for a top playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. Paolo Banchero, Desmond Bane, and the Magic will blow into the Windy City on Friday night to take on the Chicago Bulls in a must-win game. Friday night, 8 o'clock is where it's at. You can cheer on the Orlando Magic from home on More TV, free over the air this Friday night. Coverage beginning at 8 o'clock. More TV is your local Orlando Magic partner, so catch all the high-flying action, the Magic and the Bulls, Friday night at 8 o'clock on Digital 32.1 or on Spectrum and Frontier Cable Channel 12.